Before I get into the unboxing of the new Dream Theater Deluxe limited box set, I want to start with a little bit of a story in my experience as to why this album has come with such anticipation for me personally. Back in 2010, Dream Theater, at the time were my favorite band. They arguably still are my favorite band of all time. But at that point, I was 20 years old. I had seen them, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 times, and they were my favorite band. And why were they my favorite band? Well, for a number of different reasons. But for me, a lot of us have our favorite bands, and then we have like our favorite member in the band, right? And for me, and I know for countless other Dream Theater fans, that member was, and is now again, Mike Portnoy. I remember when I was in high school, years before that, hearing Metropolis Part 2 Scenes from a Memory. And I had never in my entire life heard drumming like that. It was like this insane mix of, Neil Peart meets, Lars Ulrich meets, Keith Moon, really. It was, I had never heard anything like it. And after I had seen them live a number of times, I had never seen a drummer like that play live before. And from him, he was just my favorite member of my favorite band, right? So that person always holds a special place in your heart. So in the summer of 2010, at the time, Dream Theater was actually on tour opening for Iron Maiden. Now, for those who don't know, there's people who watched us that don't know anything about Dream Theater or don't care, and they're just good people. And hello, I appreciate you being here. Dream Theater is not an opening band. They have been a headlining band for, almost since they've been around in a sense. But, they're more known for their An Evening With show, which is a full 3-hour show with no opener. And over the years, they haven't really opened for bands. They've been a part of larger bills where they've co-headlined or filled in on a slot, but they are not an opening band. And I believe they had said something like there's only 2 bands or 3 bands ever that they would consider opening up for, and Iron Maiden was one of those. So in 2010, they were touring, opening up for Iron Maiden. Now, during that tour, they're playing all these huge, stadiums or outdoor amphitheaters or, whatever, 20,000 seat places. And they decided that on the side, for the real fans, they were going to do a few of these one-off shows to get a chance to see them in smaller venues. And I got a chance to see Dream Theater on July 2nd, 2010 at the Newport here in Columbus. And this was before I lived in Columbus. So a small, I don't know, I've been there a number of times, something around maybe 1,800 seat kind of venue, standing room only. This is probably half the size of a place that they would normally play if they were headlining, but it was a one-off show, sold out, super exciting. And they were touring in support of this record, Black Clouds and Silver Linings, that had come out in 2009. So amazing show. Really cool to see them in such a tiny place. I remember actually getting a chance to meet Jordan Rudess after the show with my brother, which was just a really cool time. And again, that was July 2nd of 2010. In September, so only about 2 months later, our musical lives, again from the Dream Theater side, were completely destroyed when we learned that Mike Portnoy had left the band and was not coming back. I won't get into the whole nitty gritty of what was going on, but long story short, he was tired. He was kind of in control of so many different things, and he proposed that the band go on a little bit of a break, a hiatus to recharge. He was burnt out, all that type of stuff. And the band said, no, we are ready and willing to keep going on the track that we're going. That was the disagreement. He had left. And of course, Mike Mangini came in to replace him. And they put out, I think, 5 really great albums, in my opinion. So fast forward now 14 years later, and it was announced that Mike Portnoy is returning to the band, and there's a new album coming out February 7th, 2025. This was my first real experience as a music fan, sort of having both sides of it, right? As soon as I saw the announcement that he was coming back, I remember going back to 20-year-old me and remembering how upset and heartbroken I was at Mike leaving the band, because Mike was the band, right? Obviously everybody's amazing. I love every member of the band, but he was the front man in a sense. He was the leader. He was the spokesperson, the mouthpiece, the creator of all the things, the set list guy, the strategic vision guy, the co-producer, which I'll get to here in a second. He was the creative force, if you will, behind the band. And so I am a huge fan of Mike Mangini. I really am. I think that the drumming aspect of Mike leaving the band and not being in the band is the least important aspect of him not being in the band. And again, I'll get to that here in a second. So there it is, 5.5 minutes in. Mike announces he's coming back. Dream Theater is going to tour for their 40th anniversary, evening with shows, all these different things, and a new album is going to come out on February 7th, which at the time of recording and posting this is about a week ago. I've never looked forward to an album more, right? And I know I probably speak for a lot of Dream Theater fans where the anticipation and the hype and all of the things were really leading up to this. So, of course, I got two versions. So I'll do the unboxing here of this deluxe mammoth thing with all the fun stuff and give a little bit of review of the album. But I also did get a standard 2 LP version. This is like their web store exclusive or whatever you want to call it. This is on bone vinyl. Yeah, it's bone. I mean, it's not white. That is bone. I don't know how it shows up on camera, but yeah. Now we'll get to the artwork stuff here in a second. I love the artwork. Hugh Syme here, who's done their artwork for years. Classic artist that did most of Rush's catalog. Absolutely love this artwork. Totally great. Back here. And the record is called Parasomnia. I'll get to the sort of the theme of this and what it is. But Parasomnia refers to any number of sleep disorders, disturbances, and anything that sort of falls within that realm of sleeping issues. So I decided, you know what? I've never anticipated an album more. I'm typically not a box set guy, but I'm like, I'm the biggest, they're my favorite band. I'm a collector, splurge and get the box set. So here is what we have. Here is the box set. And I will do an unboxing here in a second. I will say this is kind of cool on the back. See if that comes through. At first I just thought those were bad fingerprints, but no, they are spiders. Because, you know, nightmares and spiders and freaks and all that kind of thing. So here's what this says that we have. The 16th studio album from Dream Theater. James LaBrie, John Petrucci, John Myung, Jordan Rudess, and Mike Portnoy. Limited deluxe box set. Here's what it is. Including limited edition 2 CD and Blu-ray art book, which includes instrumental versions, Dolby Atmos and 5.1 surround sound with visuals. 68-page booklet. I'm looking forward to this. I've not actually opened this, but I'm looking forward to the booklet. 68-page booklet featuring extensive artwork from Hugh Syme. Limited gatefold 180-gram dark green double LP featuring alternative cover artwork. Majesty logo dream catcher keyring. Need that. Sleeping mask. Dream journal. Poster and hand-numbered foiled printed certificate of authenticity. So, you know, your typical, here's a bunch of music stuff in all different formats. Here's some cool postery type of things with a certificate. And here's your tchotchkes that are just, you know, funny, right? So here we go. Again, the big box set here. And let's dive into it. Opening it up, taking the lid off. Or as I say, the top of the cheeseburger, the bun off. Okay, very cool. The first thing you see here is the certificate of authenticity. So, Parasomnia limited edition box. I have number 826 out of 3,500. Very, very cool. The authenticity of this edition is guaranteed by Dream Theater. Made on what appears to be a Microsoft Word document. Okay. Next, it looks like we have a poster. Let's see what we got here on this poster. Come on. Oh, that's kind of sick, not gonna lie. Very cool poster, very creepy. I mean, that is sort of the vibe of this album. It is dark, it is heavy, it is creepy. It's parasomnia, it's nightmares, it's night terrors, it's sleep paralysis, all that kind of stuff. Very cool, creepy poster. This is the double LP with the alternative artwork. I love that artwork too. that seems pretty dope. Yeah, kind of like this very dystopian looking hot air balloon situation. Somebody right in there. Again, the back. I'm not going to open this right now. You've seen green, you know. It's not like it's a goop colored vinyl or something. Yeah, very cool there. This looks like, okay, so it's like, you know, the box set within the box set, I guess. Okay. So this is the limited 2 CD Blu-ray art book, instrumental versions. This is all this kind of stuff. Now, I am not a CD, you know, I'll probably take these CDs and put them in my car because I still drive an old ass car that has a CD player. So I'll probably put it in there. Or I'll just keep it. I don't know, whatever. I'm not going to open this right now because I don't know that I want to. Anyway, here's the fun stuff. And by the fun stuff, I mean the stuff that kind of makes me giggle. All right. Your, what do they call it? Dream Catcher keyring. Majesty logo Dream Catcher keyring. Look at this. Okay, this is coming out. Obviously, this is coming out. All right, look at this. So this is the official Dream Theater logo, but people are like, "That why is that Dream Theater logo?" It's actually an M. It's known as the Majesty logo. Majesty was the first name given to Dream Theater before they were renamed to Dream Theater. Cute. Don't really know the point of that, but it's cute, right? Again, it's you know, whatever. Okay, give this to the side. How about the mask? It's a sleeping mask. How about that? All right, and let's see what this dream journal is. You know, this is kind of cool. Okay, I do very cool. Yeah, love that. And in the back, says, dream as if you'll live forever, live as if you'll die today, with the logo. And you know what? It is a journal. I mean, the fan could write, type, they could do whatever they want in that. Oh, okay. You know, it's cute. That what can you say about it, right? Like this is nerdy collector stuff, right? No one bats an eye when the Beatles or Kiss, you know, put out, you know, all their stuff. So let Dream Theater, you know, put out their stuff too. I think the art book is under here, I believe. Or, you know what? No, I think the art book might be this. Oh, this is the art book. I'm an idiot. So I am going to open up this. Okay. Sorry. We are so good at this, right? For the tens and tens of you watching this, this is probably riveting for you. It's the book. You open up the book. I feel like I'm a kindergarten teacher. Look at, you know, CDs, Blu-ray, all the fun things. And here's what I'm excited for. I am a huge fan of Hugh Symes' artwork. And so to have this sort of hard book cover book with all these pictures in it, I'm pretty excited for. Again, really cool art book, has all your lyrics, all that type of stuff. Lyrics, looking super dystopian. That's creepy as all hell, which I love. Super, super creepy. Which again, I'll kind of talk about here in a little bit. Oh, there's someone who's, yep, I knew what that was. Very cool. Bend the clock. Ooh. Yeah, that's dope. We're loving that. I don't know if that's coming through. Yeah. Anyway, so that's that. Whole bunch of pictures, lyrics, very cool, fun stuff. I'm into that. So, all right, let's talk about the album a little bit. There's your official unboxing part, and here's the review part. I mean, I'm glad I have that. That's great, right? Do I need to get both? Of course not, but you know, we're all weird collectors, and that's what we do. So let's talk about the album. Like I said before, the most anticipated album that I can remember ever for me, and I know for a lot of Dream Theater fans, if not most of us. So I want to talk about it. First reactions, and now I say first reactions, I've obviously had it for a week, and I've listened to this now probably about 10 times. I was doing a lot of travel, and it was a lot of headphone listening and a lot of car travel listening, so I've listened to it a lot, and I wanted to be sure that I listened to it enough times to actually be able to say something educational about it. It's great. I will say that. It is great. It is a great Dream Theater album. And personally, I think there are some, I don't want to say issues with it. I'm not here to nitpick. I'm not a critic. I am not that person, but I do want to talk about where I believe it falls. So let's talk about the tracks here. As I said before, this is a loose concept album where there's sort of a grand concept about sleep disturbances, parasomnia. This is meant to be listened start to finish. And so it doesn't tell a story or have characters, all those different things. But the idea is that it starts with, somebody going to sleep and having 70 minutes of, shit thrown at them and then waking up at the very end. So there's a concept in that sort of sense, and there's some musical elements and themes that are overlapping and intersecting with the rest of the album. And then, each song is sort of about a different type of like sleep disturbance or whatever. So it opens up with In the Arms of Morpheus, which is the sort of overture, a instrumental overture of the album. I love it. I do. John Petrucci's playing an 8-string, and you can tell, and it is heavy in your face and anxiety inducing, and the sound effects and all the different things happening. I love that opening. I think it's a great, amazing overture, all those good things. It goes into Night Terror, which was the first single. It was the first song that they wrote and performed on the album, and it was the first that all of us heard Dream Theater back with Mike, all those different things, right? And as a song, I really like it. I think Night Terror is a great song. I think it was a perfect song for them to lead off with as the single. It's heavy, it's in your face. What I will say about this album, more so than any other Dream Theater album that I can remember, it is so riff heavy in the sense of, there's constant changes all the time because that's Dream Theater. But for me, John Petrucci especially is just going from riff to riff to riff to riff to riff. And as soon as you think it's like, oh, this is the main riff, it goes into a different main riff. And it's so riff heavy. But Night Terror, I love. Broken Man, which was sort of, so Broken Man is the third track. This is about, a war veteran having some PTSD and all that type of stuff from war. I mean, again, a very sensitive subject matter, so I don't want to critique that side of it. This was sort of pseudo-released as a second single. Not a proper single, but something else that we all, got accustomed to. To me, I will say this is what I believe to be the weakest track on the album. Not to say it's a bad track. It is just unrelentingly heavy, which is great, but doesn't seem to have the types of twists and turns that I really like with Dream Theater songs. My favorite part of it by far is John Petrucci's solo, where he goes full Steve Morse during the solo part, the super sort of like bluesy boogie shredding sort of guitar solo that we're not used to hearing. I think that is the best part. Other than that, that to me is the weakest track on the album. I'm not crazy about that track. Next is Dead Asleep. Love this song. Dead Asleep's great. This is now approaching, I think, 11 minutes in length. It tells the story of a man who sleepwalks and ends up murdering his wife in the middle of the night, and kind of going through the process of, I have no memory of this. I was asleep. And did he mean to do it? Did he not? A very, very strong track on the album for sure. The single to me that stood out the most that they released was Midnight Messiah. Mike Portnoy's lone lyrical contribution to the album, Midnight Messiah. Big train of thought, specifically As I Am vibes. This is a song that absolutely grooves. It has a pretty insane unison line, which the unison bits, and when I say unison, it's when John Petrucci and Jordan Rudess on keyboards are both ripping and shredding and playing either identical lines or harmonizing lines. But we're talking about super fast, complex, difficult things that they are playing in unison at the exact same time. And to me, that's just them at their best. Midnight Messiah, great track. Again, I get big As I Am train of thought vibes off of that. Next is Are We Dreaming? Not really a track, it's an interlude. I think it's a minute long, it's some sound effects, somebody waking up, that sort of thing. So it's not really a true track on there. And then for me, the highlight, the penultimate track, I guess, to the album is Bend the Clock. This has been fascinating watching a lot of the Dream Theater fans and in the groups I'm in, and people everybody talking about this being the highlight of the album, Bend the Clock. It's their power ballad. And here's the thing. If I had I'll talk about my critiques of the album here in a second, but for me, this is such a heavy album that it is sides so heavy and moves away from the melodic side. There are certainly melodic elements, but to me, there's not as many hooks. There's, what made Dream Theater great throughout all the years was, insane instrumentation, all that type of stuff, and insane players. But to me, there's always a hook there. You go back through all those years, there's always an amazing hook involved, great melody involved. This record is so heavy to me and creepy, right? That kind of goes along with the theme. To me, the melodies aren't there as much as I would personally like. And that's a personal opinion, right? Bend the Clock has all of that. I love Bend the Clock so much. Again, it is like their power ballad. JP plays an insane solo on the end piece. Great vocals, all that good stuff. And then the fourth side, or the last song, is the Shadow Man Incident. Their big epic 20-minute long side long epic, which we love an epic, right? I really like Shadow Man Incident. Where would I rank it in the Dream Theater canon of 20-minute long epics, because they have a bunch? I certainly like it a lot more than A View from the Top of the World, which was their previous record, and their big epic on that record. Wasn't even crazy about that epic, to be honest with you, or that album as a whole. Would I go as great as Octavarium? No, that's my favorite song / composition of all time. Would I put it, I don't know. I would personally probably put it up there with like Illumination Theory. I know I'll probably get crucified by people for that, because that's a Mangina era epic, but I really like Illumination Theory off of the self-titled back in 2013. But anyway, but you're talking their epics are all 10s out of 10s or 9s out of 10, right? So I don't know. I would give that epic maybe an 8.5 out of 10, right? So that's it. A great album. If I were going to give a rating to the album out of 10 or whatever, or out of 5, it doesn't matter, I would be going with an 8 out of 10 or a 4 out of 5. What would keep it from being a 10 out of 10, right? Or even a 9 out of 10. What are my critiques of it, all that type of stuff, or things I love, right? So let's talk about things I love about it. I love the theme. I love the concept. I think this is an amazing lyrical album. I think the actual lyric writing is extremely strong, especially in the Shadow Man Incident. I think the riffs are insane. In terms of the riffing and the playing and all those different things, amazing. And I think for the most part, the songs are great too, right? These are 70, 75-minute albums. It's tough to not feel like there's some bloat there. It does feel long, and it does feel at times a bit repetitive to me. And I don't mean repetitive in the sense of they're just rehashing old ideas. I have no problem with that. That's their 16th album. That's what they do. That's why we love them. I'm not expecting them to, reinvent the wheel. I think to me, a lot of the songs feel repetition, because it's just, 7, 8, 10 minutes of that sort of unrelenting, not a lot of changes here and there sort of thing. That I would say. I think it's not a conspiracy theory. Here's just my thoughts. I saw an interview yesterday. I think I watched the whole thing. Mike Portnoy is back at Drumeo, and one of the things that he mentioned was that when he got back into the band, there were going to be all these conversations about, who does what now that Mike is back. Because Mike used to do everything. He's not going to do everything anymore. What are some of those areas that he's going to take, and some of those areas that other people are going to hold on to, etc. And one of the things that he mentioned was that John Petrucci was pretty adamant about hanging on to the sole production role. So after Mike left, Mike and John co-produced every record, from Scenes from a Memory from 1999 all the way up until Black Clouds and Silver Linings 2009, when Mike left. Since then, John Petrucci took over sole production. So with Mike coming back, it was going to be, is Mike going to be co-producing this with John? Are they going to get that team back together from a production role And it sounds like John was like, no, I would prefer to keep it. Now, this could change in the future. And I will tell the YouTube community out there, I personally hope it does. I really strongly believe that they should let Mike get back to the production side of things. Now, when we say production, it's interesting because I think a lot of people just assume that production means sound, right? We just think of sonics. And that's not necessarily true. Yes, that is going to be an area that they're overseeing the final product on and given the okays on all those different things. But really, to me, production, I think it more of a who is overseeing this project? Who is the buck stops here? Who is making the decisions? Who is sort of overseeing the grand final product that we hear, that we see, that we feel? And as I said before, to me, what the band missed over the years was not Mike's drumming. Mike Portnoy and Mike Mangini have very, very different drumming techniques, styles, etc. But it wasn't the drumming for me. It was the sense that there was just something bigger missing, whether it was song-wise, whether it was the sound of the albums, whether it was just the overall direction of the albums, just those small things. And I think that and Mike's creative brain is what he is absolute best at. The man is a musical junkie. He is he is by far the biggest music fan in that group. He's a historian. He knows albums front to back. He knows the nitty gritty of every little tiny thing. He was the brains behind all the tiny little nuggets that Dream Theater fans have grown to love over the past 40 years. And I think he needs to, and I know he needs to, whatever. I think the band would be well with him and John getting back to co-producing this and Mike being part of the driver's seat once more. It's not enough for me or this album for Mike just to be the drummer or the backing vocalist or a lyrical contributor sometimes. I think he needs to be with John in the driver's seat again. And here's why. Once again, John Myung, the bass player, is nowhere to be found on this album. He is so buried in the mix. And that has been the case for years. And Dream Theater fans have been pointing this out. He is so buried in the mix. You can't hear him at all. Secondly, John Petrucci's guitar is so in your face in the mix. And I get it. He's a guitar god. He's a virtuoso. He is a hero. He is one of the greatest, if not the greatest technical player in the world. But it's so much in your face and in the mix. It feels like there seems to be a little bit of an imbalance there for me. Drums sound great. Mike's drums have always sounded great. And obviously he's going to be a little bit more particular about how his drums sound on an album. Jordan feels also very back in the mix as well. And I think that would be another side of my quote-unquote critique, is that whether or not this is true, and again, I'm just speaking from my ass. I mean, it's an 8 out of 10 record. This is a great record, people. I don't know if it's a relegation or just where he's at in his career, all those different things. But to me, Jordan is at his best as somebody who is contributing to the compositions and or making his own and doing it that way. Sometimes it feels like his role is relegated, and again, whether I'm just making shit up, whether that's how it goes or what he feels in this in the studio, whatever it is, of add some patches here or there based on what's being written, and then add some insane solos, right? Opposed to feeling like, no, this was a Jordan thing. This was his writing. This was his contribution, all that type of stuff. And I think that sort of also plays out a little bit in the mix as well, preferring that he would be more up in the mix. I would also prefer, and I get it too, now I'm just sounding like a boomer. His sounds are great. He leans into technology big time. Again, talking about Jordan Rudess here. He leans in technology big time. But all that to say, for me, I love him using classical piano sounds, or even classic keyboard sounds, or even when he goes with the organ, all those different sounds. Sometimes it just feels like it's just leaning too much on technology and synth solos or whatever. And that's something that holds me back a little bit. So all of that to say, at a 30-minute fucking video, I love it. It's a great record. there are some small critiques that I have with it. But overall, we are talking about the 16th album from my favorite band. I mean, to get an 8 out of 10 on the 16th album, I think we're doing okay, people. Where do I put this in the canon? Oh God, I don't know. I mean, that's hard to say. You know, I don't like it as much as probably any of the previous Porno era stuff. I definitely like this more than A View from the Top of the World. I probably like this more than Dream Theater self-titled. This is just hard. I couldn't do a ranking. I love The Astonishing. Call me crazy. I might do a video on that. It doesn't matter. The point is, this is a really, really great record. 8 out of 10, whatever. Thank you for watching. If you're watching, maybe I got some Dream Theater fans here. Who knows? Anyway, happy Valentine's Day, people. If you can't love anybody else, make sure you love yourself today. Bye-bye.